So we need to talk about something that Facebook advertisers really need to watch out for, because it can kill Facebook ad campaigns and Instagram ad campaigns very quickly and easily, and a lot of advertisers are being caught out by it. I'm talking about feedback scores. Now, a lot of people when they start advertising on Facebook aren't aware that Meta as a company will ask for feedback from people that have interacted with your business on Facebook, on Instagram, interacted with your ads, and potentially purchased your products from you. This typically applies more to e-commerce businesses selling physical products and other types of businesses, but I have seen feedback scores being collated and requested for other types of business as well. So it does apply across the board to some extent. And if your feedback score drops below a certain number, you are in trouble as an advertiser. Firstly, you'll end up with your ads restricted in terms of the reach, which means you're basically going to end up paying more to reach the same amount of people, not something that any Facebook and Instagram advertiser wants. And if it continues to drop or stays below a certain number for a certain amount of time, you will be banned from advertising altogether. This is a really, really important thing to be aware of. There are a number of things you can do to improve your feedback score. That's what I'm going to be covering in this video. So to flesh this out and explain a little bit more about your feedback score and what we can do about it, I've got Meta's support doc up here, and I'll include a link to this in the video description in case you want to go ahead and check this out. But to explain a little bit further, feedback score is from 0 to 5, 5 being the best possible score, 0 being the worst possible score. And you may see warnings, messages pop up within your Facebook ad account about your feedback score if it drops below a certain amount. Now, if your feedback score drops below a 3, that's typically when we start to see warnings pop up. Nothing's going to take place there and then, but if it drops below a 3, that's when Meta's going to start to say, you might want to look into this. Things aren't going as well as we would like them to be going for the people that are interacting with your ads. If your feedback score drops below a 2, that's typically when you start to have your reach restricted. So you're going to be paying more to reach the same number of people as if you had a higher feedback score. Really important that you avoid that. If you stay below a 2 for an extended period of time, that can get worse, and it can end up with your ad account, your page. Meta does it differently for different users, so there's not sort of completely hard and fast rules around this stuff. But either one of those could be fully disabled. You can be banned from advertising. If you drop below a 1, almost for any length of time, your ads will simply be turned off and you won't be able to advertise anymore. Now, the reason why Meta does this is because they want to ensure that their users are having good experiences and interactions with businesses advertising on Facebook and Instagram. Because if users don't, what'll happen is they'll learn to distrust Facebook ads and Instagram ads. If, for example, every time they order, it takes 3 weeks to turn up, it's a really poor quality product, they can't return it. If enough users have that experience, they'll simply stop clicking on ads, stop purchasing altogether. And that over the long run would be terrible, because advertisers would see that results are dropping and they would stop advertising, and then Meta as a company wouldn't make anywhere near as much money from their advertisers, which is where the vast majority of their revenue comes from. So it's really important to the long-term viability of Meta as an advertising platform and as a business that the user experience with advertisers is really good. And let's be honest, a lot of Facebook and Instagram users have had very poor experiences with advertisers. These are most frequently drop shippers. People can do drop shipping correctly, but a lot don't. And I'm sure many of you have had the experience where you purchase a product that you saw on Facebook or Instagram. It looks great in the little video that you saw, but you didn't read the small print, and actually it's shipped direct from China and it takes 3 weeks to get there. And then when it does get there, it's very poor quality. You can see that immediately. You want to get your money back. You want to do something, you can't. There's nowhere to contact customer support. You try and contact them, they take forever. And the whole experience is terrible. That is bad for Meta as a company, and it's bad for us other advertisers, because we don't want those advertisers' poor behavior to reflect badly on our advertising efforts. So very, very important that this is done. Now, the first question you might be thinking is, what is my feedback score? How do I check it? Now, if your feedback score drops below those numbers that were mentioned previously, you will see warnings pop up when you're in Meta via your page and also via your ad account. But if we scroll down onto this page here, and this page has got a lot of really good information about this, we can see you've got monitoring feedback, and you can do so in account quality. So if I just jump over to an example ad account, which is what I use to record these videos, you just want to click on these 3 little lines up here and then select account quality. Now, because this is an example ad account, if I click on this now, it's not going to show us anything that's useful and relevant to what I'm talking about here, but I'll grab some screenshots of actual feedback scores and they'll be inserted into this video so you can take a look at feedback scores. And Meta will let you know if you've got a 4.4, for example, that's a good feedback score. If you've got below a 3, that starts to get a bit dodgy. Below a 2, they're really not happy, and below a 1 is absolutely terrible. So that's what you're really looking for, and Meta will give you information within that section of your feedback score, telling you what you might be able to do to improve things and what it is that people are unhappy with. Because obviously when they're giving feedback, there's some specific information provided. It does differ for different users. There's no sort of exact way that everyone's going to be asked to provide feedback and the questions are going to be the same across the board. It doesn't really work like that, but they are going to be asked questions around certain things like delivery times, product quality, all that sort of stuff. And you will then be able to see what someone or what your audience's problems are with you as an advertiser via the feedback area. If it's because the product takes forever to arrive, you'll see that, and then that's something that you can hopefully address. So really important that you do go into account quality and check out your feedback score. Hopefully it's nice and high and you don't have a problem, but if you do, definitely something you want to jump on. Now, you might be thinking that achieving a feedback score above a 3 is relatively easy to do, but here's the thing. Most people that are willing to provide feedback have either had a really positive experience or a really negative experience. And you see this across review sites everywhere. Anytime you try and book a hotel, you will find people that have gone on and left a review because they had a really bad experience, even if the hotel's generally really good. So feedback scores tend to be, I would say, worse than what the business is actually delivering, which means you need to pay more attention to this. You need to ensure that you're providing those really positive experiences where people come in and leave great feedback scores that will counteract inevitably some of the poor experiences that any business is going to generate just simply because they're shipping product and sometimes it's going to get lost in the post and all that sort of stuff, right? These things happen. So just be aware of that those in the middle that are like, yeah, that was fine, I'm happy with this product, service, whatever, they're probably not going to bother leaving feedback when they are asked to do so. So I've already mentioned a few, but I want to go through a list of things that can really reduce your feedback score and that you need to watch out for, and might be things that you can improve if you are finding that your feedback score is lower than you want it to be. Before I do that, I just want to quickly let you know that we now offer a one-to-one consulting service. So we've set aside some time, some of our Facebook ad account managers' time. These are real experts that implement campaigns for our clients every single day, but we've set aside some of their time to provide these one-to-one consulting sessions because we know that a lot of my audience is not yet in a position to go for our done for you services where we have a 3K per month minimum budget requirement. So if you're sort of before that level, you can absolutely go ahead and book one of these sessions, and during the sessions our account managers can make recommendations around adjustments, how to improve things, help you avoid mistakes that might be costing you money. They're 45 minutes long. Currently they only cost £165. We may be increasing that price in the future, but that's by far the most affordable service that we offer. And if you want some expert to have a look at your ad account, that's a great way to go. You can book a session by clicking on the link in the description below. That'll take you to a page where you can just go ahead and book one in. So if you're interested, go ahead and get one of those booked in before they all run out. Okay, so what really reduces feedback scores? What do we typically see as things that come up all the time that lead to a bad experience for a Facebook and Instagram user with an advertiser? So first thing is going to be long shipping times. And this is typically going to be the case with drop shippers, where you can often order a product and you didn't read the small print. And as I say, it takes 2-3 weeks, sometimes longer for something to arrive. That's not good. If you're not drop shipping, it's also really important that you have enough stock to hand in order to be able to deliver quickly. We see some businesses have issues with shipping times because they're constantly a little bit behind on stock and they're generating orders but don't quite have it ready yet, and they're having to apologize, and it's all a bit of a nightmare. So, if you run out of stock, turn your ads off until you get that stock back in place. The next thing is low product quality. If a product looks great in an ad and then it's sent to people and they take a look at it and they hold it in their hands and they think, this thing's not great, it's cheaply made, it's not really fit for purpose, that's a big red flag. You want to do the exact opposite if you can. You want the product to arrive and your customers go, wow, this is fantastic. That means they're more likely to recommend you. That means they're more likely to purchase again. All good things come from over delivering. You absolutely don't want to under deliver. Customer communication is also a big one. Businesses get low feedback scores if people try and get in touch with a business's support team and they take a long time to get back to them. Often they don't receive a response at all. Some businesses selling products on Facebook are they're not geared up to provide any support. It might be a one-person business drop shipping and they're not really checking the various ways that users might get in touch. They might do so via Instagram or via their Facebook page or send an email or whatever it is. And you need to be monitoring those and getting back to people quickly. If that means you need to, take on some extra staff in order to provide that customer service, if Facebook and Instagram advertising is important to you and keeping a high feedback score is definitely important to you, that might be something that's worth doing. So communicate well, quickly, be helpful, all the simple things that make a big difference to user experience. And more specifically within customer communication is making sure that your customers have the ability to return an item if they want to and get a refund. Those are two of the things that are absolutely going to crush your feedback score very, very quickly, particularly if you said there's a 14-day return policy and then it's really difficult for people to actually use that. They want to return the product, they realize it's not right, they don't want it anymore, whatever, and they're just finding they've got to jump through a load of hoops, they've got to send in a form and make that as easy as possible, because that really annoys people. I've certainly been in that situation as a consumer, I'm sure you have, where you try and return something and it's just such hassle. It's not a good customer experience. So try and avoid that as like an extra important subset of customer communication and customer service. It's also really important that you are very, very clear in your ads what you're selling. I have seen advertisers sort of lean into being a little bit misleading and potentially making it look like what the person is going to get is a bit more than what they actually get. You can have like a range of products used in, say, a video ad, and they all look fantastic. And then when it comes to checkout, they're only actually purchasing one of those items. I've seen things like that in the past. Just steer clear of that completely. You want to be very clear with what you're advertising, very clear with what your customers are going to get, and then deliver that. And if you do so, that's not going to then hurt your feedback score, because the opposite certainly will. In a nutshell, the solution here is to be a proper, respectable business that is thinking about the long term, that is thinking, I want my customers to have the best possible experience so that they are happy and willing to buy again and again and again. The last thing you want, not just from a feedback score, but any business trying to succeed with Facebook and Instagram advertising, is to do things that annoy your customer base, that aren't great, that lead them to never want to buy again, lead them to leave you bad reviews, bad feedback, tell other people not to buy. That's a business killer over the long run. So just be a good, respectable business, do the right thing, and you should be fine. So here we've covered one very important thing that you need to avoid in order to succeed with Facebook and Instagram ads, and that's a low feedback score. I'd also strongly recommend that you check out this video where I give you one Facebook ads tip that can double or more your results. It's a technique that we've used for years, very much tried and tested, works really well, very, very quick and easy to implement. So go ahead and check it out.